And I asked the parents to use them tips, and then we get started.
I'm Delana Rodriguez, and I'm the Director in IT at Blue Cross Blue Shield in Nebraska.
I'm Stephanie Peterson. I work at Client Resources, Inc. I'm currently a business analyst. I graduated about 2 years ago with computer science and IT innovation.
I am Jen Exler, and I am a manager consultant at Sagetti here in Omaha. I'm also our Microsoft practice lead.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Grozek. I'm a co-owner of Method Development, we're a software firm here in Omaha, and I'm a graduate from UNO 96. Go Mavs! I do a lot of technical project selection, technical project management, and a little bit of programming.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much for your introduction. And the first question comes, what do you like most about your work? What do you like about your work?
I guess I'll dive in. I like, because I'm an owner of a company, I get to touch all kinds of different aspects of it. I love doing design of software, so when we have a new idea or when a client comes to us and asks us to give them solutions, I help in the design process. So we're working with our tech team to do that. And I also really love testing software, so that's one of my passions. I love to break things and then find fixes.
I like problem solving. When I was in high school, what I really enjoyed was solving math problems. I even had my math suit. I would put that on and then go to the kitchen table and really just delve into the math problems and really use a sense of time and presence, just like diving into that problem and solving it. And I can really find the same sort of thing delving into technical problems and just trying to find a solution to that technical problem. And it's also similar to solving a puzzle. You have all these different pieces that really have no meaning by themselves. And by putting them together, you can really create an answer, and maybe like answers to questions that haven't even been asked yet. And I just really enjoy solving that problem.
Yeah, I would also agree with problem solving and kind of designing the solutions. For the position that I have, it's client-based project work, so it kind of feels like you're always on the cutting edge of trying to figure out what's the best solution to the problem that you have, whether that's your business or whatever kind of project that you're looking at.
What I like best about it is I'm in a management position, and I have the opportunity to work with very creative people. IT tends to draw creative minds, and there are always new things to create, new things to do, and there's a lot of change in the IT field, and in whether you're a programmer or whether you're a technical project manager or in a management position, there's just always a lot of new things to do and to learn, so it's a very exciting thing.
I think our next question kind of requires of all the panelists a little exposure to other kind of jobs. If they ever had experience with others on IT jobs, if they could compare it, like what would be the differences? How would you do a parallel? Any take on that?
Yeah. So most of my career has been spent in IT, but prior to that, one of my hobbies was teaching contour things. And so that requires me to be up a lot. And I'm creative in it because I come up with routine concepts, but I'm up, whereas IT, I'm sitting a lot. So that's one of the major differences. I sit a lot. So we have to go out and work, go out for walks and stuff. But one of the other things that I think really applies here is that you're using your brain a lot more when you're doing IT rather than maybe a physical labor. So when I come home, sometimes my head hurts, but like your mind hurts because and you're exhausted from that because you're really doing a lot of planning and you're doing coding takes a lot, thought process and thinking through the problems or debugging code or that. So it's a mental. One other thing that I think is very different is in IT, because technology changes so quickly, you're always learning. There's always new things to learn. And I think a lot of other
jobs that you do maybe for a long period of time are very similar. They don't change constantly, but within IT, if you like change and like learning new things, it's a great place to be.
And I also think it makes it challenging in a certain aspect, because when clients can come to you asking for a solution, they already have a lot of different technologies that they work with, and you have to find a way to bridge those gaps. And sometimes you might be the first person or the only group of people out there trying to solve that problem, and it can be difficult and challenging, but it's also very rewarding finding the right type of solution.
I think one thing that I found very different, I came, like in high school, I worked in the customer service industry, and so one thing that was very different for me was when I went into IT, all of my customers were now internal. For example, when I worked at 5E Corporate, I was working for internal customers, and then the internal customers will take my product and help their internal customers, like maybe the cashier at the cash register. And so that was different for me. I'm no longer working with the public. I'm working with people within the same organization as myself.
So, anybody from the audience like to chip in with a question? We have plenty of questions here, but yeah, please.
Yesterday, the fellow was coding and she said, boy, once you have two screens, it's really hard to go to one screen. How many computer screens do you have on your desk? At least two. Yeah, two.
I'm ordering another one.
Yeah.
I want a third.
Yeah.
And with the invention of the new 4K TV sets, I actually, for the price of 2 monitors, got about a 40-inch monitor, which is kind of like 4 monitors in one. And no, it's just one giant monitor. It's pretty nice.
I was curious, who influenced you the most on pursuing this area of interest? I was definitely sure my mother was in that. My decision was long enough ago that we didn't even have desktop. Right? And my interest, but I liked math, I liked problem solving. So where did you get the bug from?
Well, my dad had an Atari 400 and an Amiga, so when I was this age here, I was playing video games, a lot of video games, but he also had a basic diskette to go in there, and so we were doing little programs together, so I think he influenced me quite a bit. And I had a, when I did decide to go into computer science, what made me stick is just all of the other people in the classes and the professors.
I would say the same. I took a class here at UNO. I was pre-med, and then I took a programming class here at UNO. It was VB.net, and I just really enjoyed coding, and so I switched my major.
For me, it was my mom. She was in ultrasound technology and X-ray, which is pretty cool technology to think about growing up. And then she got me my first computer in 5th grade. And from then, the video games, and I kind of toyed around with making my own websites. Just kind of got me hooked on technology.
So like you, when I was in school, there weren't personal computers, but I had a professor, or a teacher, a high school teacher, who taught just a program, kind of a logic class. And that class came very well to me, even though I wasn't necessarily a strong student in math and science. But he said that IT would be a good field for me. We called it MIS then, and actually it was an MIS degree here. But it was through the business department, and I didn't know what I wanted to go to college to do. And since he suggested that, I thought, why not? And obviously it's been, it was a great choice. But I think sometimes young women are discouraged if they don't think they're the smartest at math and science. And I guess I would strongly encourage you to rethink that, or you as parents to talk to your kids that there are unlimited career opportunities for young people that aren't necessarily the straight A students in math and science. Because there are a lot of other skills that it takes to work in an IT job, work in an IT organization, management skills, just interpersonal skills. We have an intern who is sitting here in the audience, Keegan Mahoney, who is working for us right now, and she didn't want to program and come in a technical role, but she wanted to learn about project management, and so she's interning with us, and we love the fact that she can explore that aspect of IT and not be discouraged by having to go and do programming in order to eventually move up into a technical management job. So there's just the opportunities are endless, and the more we can help people understand that, I think the more we'll get students who are willing to go into.
My question was very similar to that, what your influence were. But my other question is, as women in IT, what roadblocks have you come across, and what did you do to solve those issues?
I think I was pretty fortunate. I have always had great role models, but I hear a lot that other women are no, don't do that, or, you know, you're not good, like you said, at math and science, you're not good at that, so move on and go do something else. But I've never had that in my career path.
I've also heard a lot about it, but I was also fortunate to have my mom as a good role model. And then right after graduating from ISMT a couple of years ago, the Women in IT program here, I think it's a great opportunity for women to kind of lean on each other and mentor each other. And looking for those opportunities helps support being sometimes the only women in the room.
The one other thing I was, I think there are, you can think about roadblocks or you can like not focus on roadblocks. So I think for some women, they might spend a lot of time thinking about the roadblock and not figuring out how to maneuver around it. Or, you know, one of the things that's I think very, very important for a young woman going into IT is to have a mentor. And often it could be a man who is very supportive of you. Maybe it's your boss, maybe it's, you know, your boss's boss, but having people who look out for you and help you and guide you. And that, I think, if you focus in that way and kind of not pay so much attention to maybe opportunities that aren't happening for you, it enables you to focus where it can help you move forward versus, you know, focusing on things that are stopping you.
So I'd like to chip in a bit. So I think it's very important to have somebody who supports you as a role model. So when I graduated from school, the place where I could go to computer science was about 4 hours away from where I stayed. So it was like I had to stay in town. Now my best friend also got the similar marks and she could go there as well. But the family didn't allow her because they she's too young to be by herself. So you need to let go at some point. Anyway, so back to our list. And one thing that does kind of send you into this is there's this idea that I have read in a lot of articles that boys are more interested in IT because there's video games that make them very excited. So video games is a boy field, they get exposed to it, and that's how they come to IT. Now, as we saw here, that video game doesn't necessarily mean going and killing a lot of characters. There might be other fun things too. So the question that we had is, do you agree with this thing that there's too much, violence or adventure like video games that doesn't cater to girls and that's what kind of drives them away from the fun part? Or you don't? Do you think that, there's still a lot of things that the girls can kind of get into, even if it's not work, it's fun IT stuff that they can get into?
I disagree with that. I played Nintendo when I was younger, and Super Nintendo, and I had a Game Boy. Zelda was my favorite game, so I played Zelda a lot. I suppose I'm out of touch now. I don't really have time to play video games anymore, but I don't think that it's geared towards boys.
I think it all depends on your interests. So it's easy to overlook all the different types of games and fun stuff that we're doing, but having fun on Facebook, playing Candy Crush, playing puzzle games, there's still fun things that are technology-based at the core. And if you're the only girl playing Halo, that's okay, or the only guy playing Candy Crush and asking for tips, that's okay too. It's still fun, and I don't think it's swayed one way.
So, but Kamala, do you think video games is a good way to introduce girls? Because I know that some of you did start off with that. You did, right? Is games a good way to introduce kids?
I think it's a good way, but I think there are so many other things. Like if I could do it all over again, I would probably go check out robotics more because I think the robotics side of things. We often talk about, could we move over into that arena? It's just such a hands-on field. And then I also think designing, like a lot of us here have talked about designing software. And what these girls are even doing is they have found a problem and they're trying to build a solution. And so I think that as well is fun.
I think games are a good way to get started. Smart games or games for learning is a pretty interesting field, but there are some games out there that you can use to learn programming. It kind of gives you a structure to base your skill set off of and have some fun while you're at it too.
Okay, so the next thing is, what was the most exciting project you worked on? And feel free to expand it, tell anecdotes and everything.
Well, I wouldn't say it was exciting as much as just a great learning opportunity. We had a system that we deployed that didn't go well, and we had a lot of several weeks of having to have many people involved trying to get things fixed. So that was many years ago, but I remember that now just because it was such a learning opportunity. Sometimes you learn most in your job from when things don't go well, and it's just something that's kind of stuck with me. I'm sure your projects are a lot more fun than what I have.
I've worked on a variety of projects at work, but I would say one of my most fun projects was my senior project for my IT innovation degree. So it's like a senior capstone project where a year and a half was dedicated towards it. And it was fun bringing an idea of my own out to see its fruition. So I got to come up with the idea and plan it and have a team to support me to build up the requirements and do some market research and stuff like that. So the idea itself was called the Wasteless Kitchen. So you have the ingredients that you have in your pantry at home and what recipes could I find that could use up those ingredients before they expire or go bad, so you waste less food and stuff. So it was really fun coming up with that idea and talking to people about it and coming up with solutions.
And you did win the first prize for that, right?
I did.
My most interesting project was, so I work with information and presenting information, visualizing information, and my most interesting project was at Wellmark in Des Moines, Iowa. They're a healthcare provider, and they had developed a new mobile app so that patients could find healthcare providers, and they were interested in who was using their app and what they were using it for. And so my project was to accumulate all that information in a way that they could see what the app was being used for, like when people were using it, what they were using it for, what they were searching for, and really so they could look at these visualizations just to make decisions on how to design the app and like what they could add to the app, what features they needed to add and stuff like that to make the app more useful to the customers. And so I thought that was a really fun project.
So most of the work that I do is client-based. The client comes to us and we need a solution for this, and we do that. But a couple of years back, probably about 4 or 5 years now, we had quite a few clients coming to us saying, we have this website, but we want to be able to make changes on it, okay? And back then, you weren't able to do that. You'd always have to contact the developer to make the changes for you unless you built your own website. So we came up with a concept, and at this time it was a newer concept, to build your own website, right? You've heard of those, they're everywhere now. But we have a product, and we still run it today, called Web Hornet, where customers can come in and either rebuild the site for them, and then they can maintain the site, or they can build it from scratch themselves. Now, we have a lot of HTML editors and other things in place, so that it's pretty easy to do. You know, the process is pretty easy. But what was so great about this is we got to build it ourselves, so we were able to come up with the user interfaces, how that was going to work, the database design, how we wanted it to function, what functionality we wanted to give, and how easy we wanted to make it for user. So we came up with all of that. In addition, once we had the whole product built, it was how to build a customer and recurring billing. So we set up that whole process, and then how are we going to support this? So we have a whole customer service department around that, and knowledge base and videos, and so I mean it was just the full end-to-end, product development and launch and support. So it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot from that.
So if anybody else wants, I mean, I know that other IT people around here too, if somebody wants to talk about exciting projects. Yeah. Yes.
Utilize Google Analytics. And is that similar to what you described for half of analyzing who's using what is a similar kind?
I design things like Google Analytics.
So more focused on your customer.
Yeah, the visualizations and things like that. Yeah, I design
My most exciting project, I think, was my latest project. So at the Common Club at my house, we bring like a mini competition-ish thing with like who can do the coolest thing when it explodes, because with Lego visual designer, go to this thing where you can explode what you just created. So I built a giant sphere out of the colors, and then a small one inside, and inside that, and inside that, and when it exploded, it was awesome.
That's a great project. Anybody else wants to chip in? That's good. That's great. Okay, so yeah, I mean, all of us who have coded, I think the most exciting experience is the code works the first time. Yeah, it actually is working itself. But then you go to like all the different projects, and some may be useful, some may be just fun, but they just look amazing when it happens to be created something. So okay, so this was our final question, but it would not be the final question. Questions we get questions. So with all these little girls here and there's older girls here, what's your advice for somebody planning for an IT career? What should they do? Like, what should they work on? What kind of mentality or mental setup they should have? What should they not be scared of and things?
I'm going to jump right into that because when I was growing up, I was always scared to touch the computer and oh gosh, take it apart and oh I'm going to mess something up. Don't be scared. And a lot of you know that already, but don't be scared. Install something. Try it out. And you're going to learn a lot more from breaking your computer or breaking the software and trying to fix it than you would if it just all went right. So break it, then fix it. But don't just and talking to the women in the room, don't just let the guys fix it. If you can't figure it out, work with somebody to fix it. Okay?
So, what's your dream future? Inventing something cool? Helping the environment? Creating your own business? Whatever it is, chances are that coding can help bring it to life. Through coding, you can make apps, games, products, and more. Everyone starts somewhere, so take your first step and do your hour of code today. It's a project that Microsoft and Code.org are running right now. And if you Google hour of code, you can sign on to the site and do your hour of code. They're challenging 100 million people to do an hour of code.
I would say if technology just excites you, if you love using it, then the possibilities are endless. And I second the notion that you don't have to be the best at math or science to go into technology. There's so many different opportunities, and even within a single company or an organization, you can kind of play to your interests and see what you're good at. If you want to design, if you want to come up with ideas, if you want to work with your clients, or or come up with requirements. There's just so many different opportunities to pursue. That's more than just knowing math and science. It's also working with people and problem solving and design.
Yeah, I would echo exactly what was said. The thing that I would encourage you to do too as you're pursuing your degree is to reach out and find opportunities to intern, because those opportunities tell you a lot about companies, and it really gives you an idea of what the job would be like when you get out of college. Even if you want to explore not only different companies, but different types of jobs. So if you want to try project management, do that as an intern. And then the next year maybe have an opportunity to actually do some coding or designing or testing, or there's just a lot of different jobs. So I wouldn't limit your thinking, just keep your options open, because again, it's just unlimited. There's tremendous opportunities for anyone who goes into the IT field.
And the experience is so valuable. So, going to class is great and you want to do that and get a really good education, but the experience, the hands-on, is so important. So do your hour and more.
And I'd like to build on that, because you shouldn't hesitate to look up internships and follow through, ask whether it's free or paid. It can always turn into something more. And it's also nice to do internships in different types of fields. So I had an internship for the government, for example, a research internship. Also interned with ConAgra a while ago. And they offer a program where you actually get to try all the different IT positions within the organization. So just look at your options out there. Don't hesitate.
So as you know, we run a little coding club, and it's a lot of fun to see the kids are so excited. But there are some kids that just naturally have the patience, and they're trying to build an idea of what it really is and how does this apply, and some of them don't necessarily need an answer right now. But I noticed yesterday, actually, some kids are saying, when are we going to code? When are we going to code? And we're working on projects that build to that and the demo. And right now we're kind of struggling with not enough PCs for, so we're trying to work in sort of a limited way. But what words of advice would you give us as a coding club to say, basically be patient, give it a chance to see where it goes, or why we start here? Don't give up, basically.
I know a lot of the things that I do, it takes a lot of planning before you actually get into the actual design, because I do a lot of information, like interface design and stuff like that, and so you really have to plan it out before you actually start coding. And so there's a lot of stuff you could draw out before you get to that stage. That probably, I don't know how long that could draw.
We use grid to, and the trivia. So we do some of that, but yeah, they want to build the Eiffel Tower using code like in 3 weeks. So I guess it's a patience thing. So I'm going to advise them to say it takes a while. Plan it before you can build it, I suppose.
And you do, and we do the same thing. But there's also an agile approach that you want to take to software, and it's something that a lot of businesses follow now. But instead of designing it all out and then building it, and maybe it is or maybe it isn't what you want, design a little bit, build a little bit, test. You go through that process over and over. Just as a cycle: design, build, and test. It works wonderful. You guys use agile?
Actually, yesterday, like over an hour, like an hour and 30 minutes, around that.
So does that count? So the hour of code, is that a structured thing? You log in. How does that work? Like if these girls want to go home and do that, how do you go about doing that? Does the coding that they've done count for an hour of code, or is it something that Microsoft?
I think it's structured through the code.org site.
Okay.
I think they have like some coding programs that you can log in, and there's different choices. 6 out of 100 million.
I have a question. Regarding to the stigma. I think they're starting with this stigma that people in IT are those antisocial creatures which spend all day long sitting in front of a computer. And sometimes when you hear when people choose their careers, they'll choose, I just don't want to do that. And I guess maybe you touched on your experience. You're here in front of 6 young kids who will be picking their careers or who pick their peers. So what's your day like, and who are your peers?
I'll answer that. So there are employees within Blue Cross that love to code and sit at their desk and not have a lot of interaction with people, and that's great. And there are a lot of people that actually aren't like that and are very social. And so bringing the social aspect to the work is awesome, because those are the folks who make the team fun. Like, they'll think of the, fun things to do. Like, for example, we do agile development, and it's a 3-week sprint, but the first day is all-day planning. And if you think about spending all-day planning, that sounds kind of boring. It does to me. I noticed a lot of them. But the fun, creative folks within the team will figure out how to make it fun. So they'll have a food day, so they'll bring in food, so there's fun food around to eat. They'll all wear jeans and more relaxed. They'll create like a trivia game to play in the middle of the planning so that it breaks it up. And so there are a lot of very creative minds that make up the IT community. And so it's not just what, kind of the old stereotype of geeky, nerdy, I just want to, do this. But those people that are very, very smart that code like that very seriously, we need them too. So it's great to have both aspects. And of course, a lot of people in between that like the social aspect, they may not be thinking of it, but love being involved with it.
Yeah, I would second that. There's a spectrum of, whether you prefer you're more of an introvert or an extrovert, and there's opportunities in technology all throughout that spectrum. And maybe you might start out an introverted, head down in the desk, code out a whole solution. You might realize in a couple of years you might want to try, or even a few months, that you might want to try something else. And the great thing about technology is that there's just so many opportunities and there's so many different roles that you can fill that you're never really locked into anything like staring at a screen all day. That's not what you want to do.
Hey,
Okay, so that's about the end of the session. Unless you have some final remarks for the girls?
I guess I just like to mention, we were talking about fun aspects of IT and video games and robotics and all that, but building a web page is a lot of fun. There's a lot of instant gratification in building a quick web page. So if you're trying to introduce somebody into that, building a web page is a great way to do it. JavaScript, using JavaScript, it's so quick and you can do so many things with it. I don't know if you guys have told them that, but I remember building my first web page and I was here at UNO and go, wow, I just did that. I made this appear on the screen. So it's a good way to encourage young people to get started.
Yeah. Do you still have your math suit?
I don't fit anymore.
I would say that I also started on websites when I was probably 11 or 12. I created a fan site for my favorite band at the time, Destiny's Child. That dates it. So it was a lot of fun, and it was something that I kind of lost track of through high school, and until I got to college and realized, oh, I really did have fun. I enjoyed making that stuff. It is really gratifying. So figuring out that you like it as young as you can is excellent, and keep having fun with it.
I would add one more thing. If I didn't mention this, my team back at the office would be very disappointed. We recently, thinking of how to bring fun into the workplace, we recently had something we called Iteration 48. And what it was a hackathon. And if you are in IT, you may know what a hackathon is. But basically what we did was we gave the entire IT team the opportunity to create an idea that they would want to develop in 48 hours. And we had 50 ideas that came forward, and out of those 50 ideas, 15 teams were formed, and we had just the level of energy it brought to the team and the morale and just the opportunity and excitement for them to create something. We put no rules upon it on what you had to create, whether it was something for the business or something outside. And most of the, there ended up being 15 teams, and they started on a Wednesday at 5 o'clock and finished at 8 a.m. on Friday morning. So literally some of the folks were in the office from Wednesday afternoon until Friday morning. We had a lot of cans of air freshener because of having people in the same room for a long time. But we had so much fun, and on Friday morning we had some of the executives come in and listen to those teams demo what they had built and created. And it was amazing when you give a team of often very creative people the opportunity to do something like that with no rules on it. It is amazing what they created. And it was from apps that just helped them do their jobs better and easier in IT, to one team created an app. Now we're in the insurance business, health insurance business, but they created an app where somebody who needs to have knee surgery could go out and ask for bids. So doctors then could say, I'll do your knee surgery for $4,000. And the next person, would say, I'll do it for $5,000. And within 40 hours, they literally created a demo enough where we could see on the screen what the customer or the client or patient was seeing and what the provider was. So things like that really bring a lot of creativity and energy and fun to the workplace. That was much more successful than we ever dreamed it would be, and now I'm sure it's something we're going to do every year because it creates much excitement. There were people in other departments that were very disappointed they didn't have an opportunity to participate. So I think when we do it next year, it'll be people within other areas of the company partnering with IT folks to create cool apps. But anyway, it's just something that was very fun and I wanted to make sure I mentioned.
So those are really exciting when you do things like really have like limited time, and that gives a lot of energy. So let's give a panel a hand. I want to conclude with one thing. So we have been talking about participation of women in IT, and if you look at the flyer on the two sides of it. So on the page of Ada Lovelace, you see that there is not much professional information there. So she was born, she married, she translated a paper, so that's the one thing. But really, when I went to the Google and other web pages, Wikipedia, it was basically she got married so and so, she had 3 children, and she died so and so. But if you look on the other side, about 100 years later, with Grace Hopper, everything there is professional. I mean, she was married to, I don't know if she had kids, but she didn't have a family life. But those are not there. So it's not that you do balance both family and professional life, but as you can see in 100 years, the professional things do get kind of highlighted. So if this trend continues, it does show that you are thinking of women in IT as professionals, not as hobbies, for example. So that's a positive trend. Let's keep it up, and thank you all for coming.